Are the Swiss still reigning supreme? Or has the huge strides in quality of the Chinese market put a panda amongst the Alpine chamois in the watch world? Let's find out. Yes, this topic has been beaten to death on this platform, with hot takes flying left and right and fanboys blindly defending their watches of choice. But there's still some fantastic content on the topic out there, and I urge you to explore it. Right after this video, of course. I desperately need to keep up my audience retention. And I'm sure most of you have your own opinions too. I'd love to hear them, so why not offer them in the comments section? And whilst you're there, please hit that subscribe button. If you're a Swiss watch nut job, no amount of talk about value is going to sway you towards a Chinese timepiece. Conversely, if you're a fan of Chinese watches, waxing lyrical about Swiss craftsmanship justifying the price tag isn't going to send you rushing to your nearest Watches of Switzerland branch. But me? I'm like a horological Switzerland. Pun definitely intended. I have no dog in this fight causing me to pick a side in the war. I just love watches. End of. I'm not picking sides between the Alps and the Himalayas, whether it's an 8 grand Omega or an 80 quid Boltony. If I like it, it's going on my wrist. Other opinions be damned. So, to tackle this oh so contentious topic, I've plucked 2 of my favourite watches from the collection, each a shining example of value in its own way. Sure, price-wise, they're in completely different leagues, but as we all know, retail prices, and even pre-owned ones, aren't exactly gospel when it comes to measuring quality or value. Spoiler alert, both of these beauties are absolutely worth it. In the Swiss corner, we have the Tudor Black Bay 58, a masterclass in vintage-inspired modern watchmaking that seamlessly blends classic aesthetics with contemporary performance. In short, the Black Bay 58 is a versatile, timeless piece that wins over both vintage aficionados and modern watch enthusiasts alike. Perfect for those who appreciate history on their wrists without the hassle of actually living through it. With a retail price of just 3.5 grand, you're getting a piece that holds its own in style, quality and brand cachet, all for about half the cost of similar offerings from the big boys. And in the Chinese corner, the San Martin SN0129. Proof that China isn't just about mass producing everything under the sun, they can do quality too, and at a price that makes your wallet breathe a sigh of relief. In short, the SN0129 gives you a taste of luxury without the post-purchase guilt trip. And coming in at under 200 quid, surely the San Martin can't compete with a Tudor, can it? So how are you going to settle the debate, you ask? Let's go the classic, and yes, slightly lazy, YouTube route with a trusty scorecard. I rank both watches on design, build quality, finishing, features, and heritage and branding. The watch with the highest points total takes the crown. Simple, straightforward, and just a bit of fun, because why not? Less waffle, let's get on with it. The Tudor Black Bay 58 is like a watch version of a classic suit. Timeless, stylish, and understatedly cool. Its 39mm case hits the sweet spot, avoiding the clunky look of some modern dive watches while still making a statement. The gilt accents and vintage-inspired faux patina give it a nod to Tudor's 1950s dive watch roots, making it look effortlessly sophisticated as if it's been aging like fine wine. The top hat's sapphire crystal and riveted bracelet add a touch of old school charm, though they might flirt with the edge of novelty. Overall, the Black Bay 58 mixes vintage design with modern features, giving you a watch that's both retro and relevant. But let's be honest, the Black Bay 58, much like its bigger and smaller siblings, is a tribute to the Tudor and Rolex Submariners of the past. It's got a cool design, no doubt about it. I adore it, but it's not exactly breaking new ground. Yes, there's no getting away from the fact that San Martin, and Chinese watchmakers in general, have long been known for crafting homages to popular timepieces. Let's set aside the debate around fakes, replicas, clones, or whatever term you prefer for counterfeit products. The landscape, however, is shifting, well, sort of. Gone are the days of San Martin simply hitting copy and paste on their highest of quality photocopiers and releasing exceptionally crafted versions of popular Swiss watches. And the SN0129 is no different. Again, sort of. At first glance, the SN0129's case design and indices may seem like an obvious nod to the Grand Seiko SBGE285. But take a closer look, and you'll notice that San Martin has ventured into new territory. This watch features a textured desert rippled dial in a bold purple hue, a daring choice that sets it apart, even though other colours and materials are available. The tapered index handset, in my view, complements the sporty GMT style far better than the Dauphine hands on its Grand Seiko counterpart. These may be subtle changes, but they signal a new direction for the brand. One that's still evolving. I'm excited to see where this journey takes them, and I'm ready to jump on board before it makes its destination. So, here we have it. Two watches that are very different in their design appeal. One a hark back to better days, the other with an eye on the future. But, let's be serious, both paying homage to other watches in their own way. But, the point has to go to one, simply down to its versatility, effortless charm and inoffensiveness. The points go to Tudor, but only just. It goes without saying that the Black Bay 58 is a well-built watch, even an exceptionally built watch, which is no surprise with the know-how and techniques inherited from its older sibling. The bezel, in particular, is a masterpiece in fiddle ability, albeit requiring the fingers and thumb of one of the borrowers to get enough grip to really enjoy the action. The case design, although simple, is finished to the highest standard. Brushed to perfection on the top and immaculately polished on the sides, with the thinnest but perfectly executed chamfered edge between the two finishing transitions. The same standard of perfection is carried over to the dial, handset and bracelet. The San Martin's finishing isn't just impressive for its price, it's remarkable at even 10 times the cost. The case finishing is more intricate than that of the Tudor, largely because San Martin has borrowed, nicked a few tricks from Grand Seiko's playbook. That said, credit where it's due, San Martin hasn't cut any corners, except of course for the beautifully cut and polished corners of the lugs and crown guards. The chamfered edges between the polished and brushed surfaces are applied with precision, and there's no sign of over polishing or over brushing. San Martin clearly took its time here, even though most buyers wouldn't have expected a finish that rivals watches costing thousands. Now, I might ruffle a few feathers with this, and please comment if you disagree, but the San Martin boasts slightly tighter tolerances and sharper finishing than the Tudor. No ifs or buts about it, the San Martin wins this round. Let's keep this brief, shall we? The Tudor is your quintessential time-only dive watch. No frills, no fuss. It does exactly what it says on the tin. With a water resistance of 200 metres, it's a capable little swimmer. Though, let's be honest, nobody's plunging this beauty into the abyss. And as for the dive watch purists, please avert your ears. Mine doesn't even get wet in the shower. Why? Because it cost me a small fortune, at least to me. And if it truly fancied a swim, it would have come equipped with a diver's extension. On the other hand, the SN0129 has a more modest 100 metres water resistance. But then, it's not pretending to be a diver, it's a GMT watch, and 100 metres is perfectly adequate for that. It even offers an extra hand and a date complication, which is more than you can say for the Black Bay. In terms of features, it's not exactly groundbreaking, but it ticks all the right boxes a GMT should. Now, here's where the Black Bay really starts to flex its stuff. With its in-house caliber MT5402 movement, you get COSC certification, a 70-hour power reserve, and an anti-magnetic silicon balance spring. Suddenly, that extra $3,000 begins to make a bit more sense. Don't get me wrong, the NH34 movement driving the San Martin is reliable and capable, but there's no sugarcoating it. It's just a cheap movement that can be bought for less than half the cost of a meal for a family of 6 at McDonald's. Remind me why I signed up for so many kids again. But less about my life choices. The Tudor takes this round. And apologies, that wasn't brief at all. Timekeeping clearly isn't my thing. Maybe it's time for a new watch. I'll admit, this round might seem a bit arbitrary. Who exactly decides just because a brand did something impressive in the past, their latest offering should automatically be worth more than a newcomer's arguably superior watch? And who makes up the rules? How does a brand like Richard Mille, whose history is shorter than Blockbuster's glory days, get to be considered one of the pinnacles of watchmaking? It's like giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to a pop star after their first single. But it is what it is, and we all feel like heritage and branding is something we are prepared to pay a pretty penny for. Which, being a graphic designer by trade, I should be fully supportive of, and I am, honest. Tudor has been riding on the coattails of its big sibling Rolex for decades, and it's served them well, but lately, Tudor has stepped out of the Rolex-sized shadow, becoming an aspirational brand in its own right. The gold standard of high-quality entry-level Swiss watchmaking. And, thanks to Rolex, they've got a treasure trove of vintage pieces to reference and flex those heritage muscles whenever they please. San Martin, on the other hand, doesn't stand a chance in this category. Sure, they've become the darling of AliExpress, and us watch nerds who can't keep dropping thousands on every must-have piece without risking domestic unrest know the secret. They're exceptionally made for the price. But the rest of the world? Mention San Martin, and half of them will think you're talking about a budget frozen pizza brand, for all they care. In 50 years' time, we may visit this and draw a new conclusion. But for the here and now, Tudor has it again. So, there it is. A clear win for Tudor. Swiss watchmaking trouses the Chinese. Case closed, mystery solved, let's all head home. But whoa, hold your horses. Of course, a watch costing 20 times more than the San Martin was always going to come out on top. Especially when it's from a Swiss brand known for offering exceptionally high quality and value. But here's the twist. San Martin isn't lagging as far behind as you'd think. Now, I do own another piece from a major Swiss brand. A 41mm quartz Tag Heuer Aqua Racer, which retailed at over 10 times the price of the San Martin. Would I bet a $5 on my Tag Heuer beating my San Martin in a similar showdown? Not a chance. Wait, what's that? You're wondering why I bought a Tag Heuer when they're basically the Tottenham Hotspur of watchmaking? Still hyped as one of the big names, but haven't really delivered anything noteworthy since the 1960s? Sorry, not sorry, Spurs fans. Well, I don't know. I just did. I like it. And that's the end of the story, okay? Right. Time to dust off the crystal ball and peer into the mysterious future of the Chinese watch market. We've taken a particular interest in San Martin, who, to their credit, have been driving the delivery of Swiss level quality at un-Swiss prices. But let's not get too carried away. They're hardly a lone ranger in this horological frontier. New Chinese brands offering pieces of comparable quality seem to spring up on AliExpress faster than you can say master chronometer certification. This bodes well for the future of the Chinese watch market, and with AliExpress acting as a global matchmaker, connecting eager customers directly with the manufacturers, the industry is more accessible than ever. With no middlemen required, thank you very much. Now, the next logical leap for these brands will be to develop a movement that can genuinely compete with the Swiss stalwarts. Imagine it, San Martin, or perhaps another ambitious brand, pouring resources into R&D to create a true in-house movement. Far-fetched? Perhaps. But with a behemoth like Seagull in the mix, we could very well see a Chinese rival to the ETA 2824 of Sellita SW200. And no, I'm not talking about just another PT5000 clone. I'm envisioning something truly original, with various levels of finishing for all manner of applications. Once this happens, brands like San Martin, already basking in their growing recognition, might feel emboldened to push the envelope with their designs. Imagine them stepping out from behind the shadows of the Swiss homages and crafting pieces that are as daring as they are high quality, rather than sticking to the safe, albeit exceptionally well made, original options we've seen so far. If I were Tissot or Hamilton, I'd be keeping a watchful eye on China right now. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day the Chinese will come knocking at their door. And who knows which door they might knock on in 50 years from now. But why should you care about any of this? Well, for starters, we get to enjoy fantastic watches at equally fantastic prices. Long may that trend continue. And with any luck, this success might push the Swiss to up their game, rather than simply slapping another zero onto their price tags. But here's the kicker. A thriving original Chinese watch industry might just shift the focus away from producing fakes of Swiss watches. No, it won't eradicate the counterfeit trade, but any reduction in those unsavoury practices, even just a little, can only be a good thing, wouldn't you agree? And what about the Japanese industry, you ask? Well, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. But let's save that discussion for another day. In the meantime, please like and subscribe.